Okay, thanks for coming. We've got identity abuse in M365. We're going to focus on M365, but Google is also very interesting. A lot of end users being compromised, and we want to drill down into what's been happening. So from last year was STORM-2372, which potentially affects every Microsoft user and tenant. And what's interesting is if we start with the Microsoft advisory, which is typically the starting point, February 13th, 2025, I'm just highlighting some of the sort of important words, right? So we see possible Russian threat actors going on for maybe 8 months, 6 months at the time. Device code phishing, real big attack vector. So that's OAuth API tokens. We have social engineering of some kind. Because it's OAuth tokens, it's a session hijack. Sir, come on in. Thanks for joining. And anytime we see tokens or OAuth, that should really set off our antenna. It's part of, they've been around forever, but they don't get enough press, right? It's not stolen username and password. It is stolen session tokens. So possession of it gives API access, which is everything today. The social engineering part, even if we don't understand the whole attack just yet, we'll be going through it, is coming over WhatsApp Signal, more modern or at least newer messaging systems, including Teams. A broad array of industries, government and non, across various geolocations as well. Pretty broad-based attack. February 14th, the next day, Happy Valentine's Day, also from the Microsoft advisory, we see that there's a pivot in techniques from the threat actors. So if I go back, OAuth device code phishing is pretty impactful. If your users fall for it, they authorize a threat actor to get API access to all their data across all of their Microsoft apps and their data. That could include Azure. So it's a pretty impactful attack. What we see on the following day is actually an update from Microsoft saying the threat actors evolve. They're actually showing some advanced tradecraft. They're impersonating a Microsoft app called the authentication broker. They are in fact slipstreaming into the device registration service, which if you think about it is the process of a user joining their computer to the Windows or Entra domain. A very common task, definitely for new employees. And it's pretty typical that that's in place for MDM or management of devices, right? Doesn't matter what you use, Intune, third party, you work on managed devices because that's controlled by IT in some way, has antivirus, EDR, etc. The other thing to note is this very last piece, the primary refresh token. Come on in, we've got room and we got prizes. Stay, you don't even have to answer a quiz, all right? But this is interesting, right? Whoever you are, we're gonna focus on the tax side. No product pitch in here. The primary refresh token on the update of STORM-2372 should set the alarm bells ringing, right? It's big enough to steal a regular access token and get access to a user's apps and data. The primary refresh token is more powerful. It mints or can create the access and refresh tokens, right? It's even more powerful. That shows advanced tradecraft. All of this attack was actually detailed by a security researcher, pretty well known in Microsoft and Entra circles, Dirk-Jan Molima. And there's an actual link which you can't click on because you're right here, but you can easily find it. October 23, if you do the math, it's about a year and a half, year and a quarter before the attack. So whoever you are, wherever you work, customer, vendor, you should feel bad. Once again, we actually knew the TTP and the attack techniques before it was reported in the wild. Let's put that aside. We're certainly going to use it to understand the attack. Phishing for primary refresh tokens from Dirk-Jan Molina. Let's see if I can control this video of the attack. This will be exciting. All right, imagine you have a user in Outlook. You guys got to keep up. No sleeping in this conversation. Attacker on the right doing a device code phish to kick this off. Am I playing? Come on, work with me. Oh, can't control my YouTube video. This is a bummer. Let's try it one more time, and then I'm just gonna have to reenact this. Okay, 2 buttons. We're gonna talk. Okay, Linda's gonna help me out here. We are stuck. All right, close your eyes and imagine. It's a dark, stormy night, 2372. Okay, no worries, I got you. We're gonna do this. How does device code phishing work into the STORM-2372 attack? Oh, I'm set. Watch closely, guys. We got terminal real attacks, okay? I've got script if you want to actually do it yourself. We got a device code flow. It generates this 8-letter code. This threat actor is going to phish, in this case, use an email. It's what we see when we do Netflix, right? You get a little code because you can't enter it. Well, I can enter this code, and notice this is really low-level technical stuff. I'm showing what goes along the command line, right? I'm phishing this user, Ed at Feast Health. I, the threat actor, can start this with no secrets involved. Further, I can impersonate Microsoft Office. This is my HTML. Here's the code I generated. That's a real Microsoft login, right? I just have to convince the user to go to the real Microsoft login. It's their cert, their domain, nothing fishy. We do it all the time, okay? Enter the code. Threat actor will log in. If they have MFA, they can do it. Can be YubiKey, whatever, doesn't matter. Microsoft Office is the only thing they see. Only thing they see because I impersonated Microsoft app. Okay, that's it. That was really brief. And then what happens is as soon as they log in, because of the way OAuth is designed, the access token with the that the user consented to, which is Office 365 permissions, gets shipped. Oh, we're stuck. We are stuck. Are you kidding me? No, it's going, we're good. What the heck just happened? Oh, I've got a light touch. This is actually a very advanced thing. Tell me this is literally a... All right, we're going. I have to keep my thumb down. Like, seriously, this is the worst user interface in the world. We got smartphones and I'm dealing with a little clicker here. Meanwhile, people want to know how to get hacked, prevent it. What's going to happen, and we'll forget the video, is as soon as the user logs in, the OAuth tokens get shipped to the threat actor. Bear in mind, this is OAuth. Threat actors and another IP address wherever they want. They didn't have to compromise the browser. They did not have to compromise the endpoint. This is the world of OAuth and cloud, okay? Wow. We get a bunch of tokens if I can actually get this thing to work. If I can, I'm going to barrel head. The point is, the threat actor has now access to Microsoft Office data, but it gets worse. Because it's used for single sign-on by Microsoft, it's about 30 apps of data, including OneDrive, chat, Teams, whatever's being used, right? And guess what else is part of that? Azure. So if this is a customer and it's a Microsoft shop, it's not only their Office apps, it's in fact, here's OAuth access token, right? You can see that, real token, I chopped it, don't try to play it, it's a couple years old, it's expired. You DEF CON guys hanging out at RSAC, what are you doing? All right, I've gotten easy access without compromising the endpoint, right? This is the secret of the cloud. Hijacking session tokens with full access, no endpoint compromise. And then, because of the implementation, I can pivot among those 30, 40 apps. I can actually take what the user supposedly thought was Office 365 data, and I can go into Azure as a threat actor and start enumerating email, which comes with Office 365, graph permissions, but I can actually start listing resources in Azure. that assumes the user has permissions in Azure. But if you phish maybe an admin, there's a good chance at a Microsoft shop that they have access. And this is a real test tenant. Again, don't try to hack it. Come on, you guys, be respectful. And it'll actually show a whole bunch of buckets and compute instances. So think about this. Remote attack, full session privileges, bypassing MFA in the sense I got the user to use their real MFA against a real Microsoft endpoint, and I get this blast radius of SSO downstream compromise among 30 or 40 apps, Microsoft properties. Okay, so if that weren't bad enough, let's get out of this. That's just in the red. We just went through the front end of STORM-2372. So understand that what we just showed has been around for years and is sophisticated enough. What they showed on February 14th with advisory is the threat actors parlayed that into another flow for an even greater goal of getting a primary refresh token in persistence. Instead of impersonating Outlook or Azure CLI, they impersonated this device registration, authentication broker for device registration. They go through back and forth. They essentially register whatever they want as the user's device in Entra from wherever they are in the world. They obtain a primary refresh token. And the only thing they need to do was to fool the user to go log into Microsoft with a code. They didn't have to steal, nothing nifty. Once they got the primary refresh token, in some cases they can get an even more powerful key, the Windows Hello for Business key, which allows them to recreate the primary refresh token in case that's revoked. They climb the chain in terms of power of tokens in the Microsoft world. This again is just the OAuth device code phishing piece that we did in that video where I stuttered around for a couple minutes. You remember, guys, we're stuck there. It's where you almost lost you, except for this guy. He's eyeing me every time. Just know that this device code phishing allows impersonation of Microsoft apps. Imagine you're in detection, you're looking at logs. Oh, you get the user identity that was victimized, but it's using Outlook. The threat actor didn't even have to build a fake OAuth app. Easy infrastructure, no infrastructure. This is not a man-in-the-middle attack either, like traditional phishing might use. Just had to trick the user to go authenticate. And then the token's shipped to me for free. And worse, I can start lateral movement and pivoting. Maybe go to Azure. That's Google. So, what do we have from there in 2 minutes? What's the key takeaway? So 13 months ago, 14 months ago, we had this major attack. It wasn't Microsoft itself compromised. They're summarizing what happened to the customer base. Not a lot of detail. If you go read the advisory, there's not a ton of detail about the techniques. The research community, you got to go back, has a lot of detail. If you're worried about defending against this, you need to know that detail of the attack, because the defenses aren't MFA. MFA doesn't help. This is a post-authentication session grab, right? You can have the best MFA in the world, but if the user's tricked into going to Microsoft to log in, doesn't matter. All your phishing defenses against bad domains doesn't matter. You're going to let Microsoft come in. If you're Microsoft, you got to log in every day to Outlook, right? This is what we need to get to. How are you going to detect the bad activity? IP addresses will be logged. Maybe that gives you a fighting chance. Advanced attackers come through their, might proxy through the victim's computer. So, it's a cat and mouse game. The PRT and the advanced parts of it, there's some artifacts. We got to switch our mindset when we think about defenses. If we don't understand this level of detail, you just won't know you're owned, right? This is what we have to get to. This is where we have to do better as a community. Vendors, you got to up your game. Customers, you got to realize you're exposed. And then you got to get into the details of figuring out what to do. So this was more about the tradecraft, less about the solution. So I feel like I'm, creating a little bit of FUD, except that this is potentially every single Microsoft M365 Entra user, because it's the process of joining the domain. And the phishing part is independent of that. Also, don't over-rotate on phishing. You can steal OAuth tokens different ways, right? Malware can come in and steal it. So it's not just training our users to not enter a device code. It is literally figuring out at each layer What do you need to protect, detect, remediate? Even if you know you're compromised, you're going to have to go through a remediation playbook. And do you really know if you're revoking all tokens? I named a few new ones, I bet. Right? How do you revoke a primary refresh token or a Windows Hello for Business key? But I bet you that's not in 99.9% customer playbooks, because it's just a sort of a niche targeted attack that's pretty advanced. Comes up with device registration, not with other flows.